Hey guys, this is Cam315. I am back at it with another video for you guys, and we are back with some more Batwoman season 2. And there was another break. It's funny because last week I was waiting for the Batwoman episode, and then I'm like, wait, Batwoman's not on. And I'm not seeing it on my guide, and I'm like, oh, okay, makes more sense now. All right, but anyways, Batwoman came off another break. It was an odd break to say the least. Okay, but this episode was season 2, episode 7. And what I thought was a pretty solid episode. I've seen some other people's views about this episode. Some people hate it, some people like it, some people are kind of in between. I'm kind of in between. Um, I thought it was a solid episode. I didn't find anything most of anything. Um, some people, like I said, this is probably one of the episodes where some people just kind of lose out of faith. Again, like I said, I don't make it seem like Batwoman's perfect, even though, I sound like it's perfect. But listen, I'm just gonna make the mention again of like for people who don't like Batwoman, whether it's other reviewers on YouTube or just regular people, I'm like, my thing is, or my stance is, if you don't like it, then stop watching it. You know, people are trying to just watch it and then say all this bad stuff on social media, like the directors and the writers actually freaking give a damn. Because let's be honest, if they gave a damn, they would have already probably put a bunch of things a lot of people have been saying to do, and they're just doing their own thing. So regardless how people feel, you know, it is what it is. Again, I've always had my stance on Batwoman, saying like, listen, it's not the greatest show, nor is it the worst show to mankind. Like everybody tries to make it seem. Like I've seen worse things on television than Batwoman, if I'm being freaking honest. I think Batwoman's honestly a solid show that has issues, but it still has some pretty good some pretty good, good points to it. Again, if you don't like it, I don't know why you're continuously watching it, and people want to get the show canceled. We'll see if there'll be another season after season 3, because season 3 also got confirmed. So season 3 is that one's gonna come back with season 3, whether people like it or not. So yeah, time will only tell if there will be more seasons after season 3, like that. Which is funny enough because I'll find it funny if they get a 4th season, because we all know the DC TCW TV shows, all of them have like always have the season 4 curse where all their season 4s are essentially trash. The Flash season 4 was trash. Arrow season 4, to a lot of people say that was trash. I was fine with season 4 of Arrow. I can understand where some people were coming from, why they think season 4 is terrible. Black Lightning, which I'm watching too. Some people say season 4 is complete garbage. In some cases, I like some of the elements they're doing with Black Lightning, but in some cases, I can see why Black Lightning isn't doing good. One of the reasons why I think it's not doing good, in my opinion, is they're giving that show no publicity. We're talking about, Batwoman getting hate. Motherfucking, I think the freaking CW network actually hates Black Lightning. And again, I think some actors on the show aren't showing like great commitment. Anyways, I don't watch Legends, but I'm guessing Legends season 4 was garbage, and even Supergirl season 4 was garbage. It's too far back for me to remember Supergirl season 4. But yeah, it'd be funny if Batwoman gets a season 4 and it actually breaks the curse and it's actually a good season 4. Like a really good season 4 where people are like, oh my goodness, Batwoman season 4 was great. But it is what it is. Anyways, this is episode 7 of season 2, and this episode kind of dives into the fact that Ryan essentially is on death's door because the kryptonite poisoning has went to her brain essentially, and she's essentially going to be dying soon, unless, which we all know, she gets her hands on the desert rose flower to eventually heal her and cure of her kryptonite symptoms and stuff like that. In the meantime, we get a full kind of backstory of Alice's time on Coriana, on how essentially we find out like the whole Ocean Alice relationship, and how Alice essentially became the Alice we know today. I mean, they kind of had a little side plot going on with Jacob and Sophie there. So I guess I'm just gonna kind of run through all the story points. The Jacob and Sophie story story point was kind of small. Essentially, it's just them looking for the map, and eventually they found out that the one doctor we saw, like I believe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, on the last episode, with the one crazy guy that had Jacob and Mary tied up, with the one crazy lunatic guy. They essentially go to Hamilton Dynamics and they go to this fucking conference room. My God. If there's anything that I do like about Batwoman season 2, is how freaking gory this can be. Like they're showing like essentially the psychopathic people of Gotham City here, which you have to give to your credit. It looks pretty freaking gross and grotesque and disgusting. Like I saw that shit. It's literally a conference room full of dead bodies. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? They later find out that the doctor who was amongst the conference, as well as all the other doctors, they're all freaking dead. And we later find out that I guess Sophia's forces came back and took back the map to the island of Coriana with the desert rose flower and everything. So, good job for those doctors to get a hold of that stuff and everything. But yeah, very freaking interesting, very freaking crazy. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, they really went this far? Jeez. Yeah, and that's like I said, they eventually go to the doctor's, like, I think it's house, and then they eventually find out that there's a rose flower and the map of Coriana is gone again. And it left a message from Sophia saying you're too late, essentially. So yeah, so much for that tracking that map down. And essentially Jacob's pissed because he's like, I already lost one fucking daughter. Why? I don't want to lose another one and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess you can feel for him as a dad, but okay, regardless. Also, too, Sophie does tell Jacob Kane that she knew about Mary's secret clinic, and essentially she kind of tried to also hammer in more points like Mary did. Saying that, listen, Mary was doing some good things for some people. She was healing people, but Jacob's still kind of stubborn on the fact that I don't want her turning into her mother and stuff like that and things like that. So I guess that storyline's still continuing. Now, the next storyline is the Ryan storyline, which is kind of the second biggest thing here. Again, we find out that Ryan essentially is now crazily got the kryptonite poisoning, up to her brain now, and she's feeling like freaking, pain as well as everything. Like she's essentially suffering. So essentially, because the kryptonite poisoning is getting into her brain, she's essentially having hallucinations and stuff like that. And essentially, she's following her heart more than her head. So what she does, she goes to actually Angelique's place as Batwoman. And lo and behold, Angelique essentially not only tells her some more information and stuff like that about more of the shitty stuff she's been doing, but as well as we see that Angelique has already moved on from Ryan, and she's already got a new chick up in her place that she's essentially, I guess, sleeping with. So I guess you can say this kind of, in an indirect way, kind of shocks Ryan and gets her kind of pissed off. And then essentially Angelique kind of kicks her off the freaking building, slams into a car again. Shocked that she lived from that, but okay. Yeah, so then Luke and Mary come to go get her, even though they're kind of being tracked by GCPD. They get out of there safely. Essentially, they give Ryan like a kind of stabilizer to make sure she knows what the hell she's doing before she makes her thing. And then that's when we get the Mary Ryan talk when it comes to Ryan going after Alice. And essentially she tells Mary, like, listen, Alice killed your mom. Like, don't you want justice? Don't you want vengeance for a separate site, like a killer out there, a mass murderer, essentially out there just roaming free, doing whatever she wants, and you just want me to let it slide and not let me do freaking justice. God, I can't talk. But yeah, eventually, it comes to a point where Ryan's like, listen, Mary, I love you, but if you're gonna stop me or you're gonna get in my way, don't make me force you don't make myself have to force you out of my way to get what I need. Essentially, Mary just kind of stands on the side, and yeah, she goes off to go after Alice. Which now we'll get into the Alice type of thing. Um, like I said, we get a whole backstory revelation of Alice and stuff like that. So Alice captures Tatiana. Essentially, what we find out is, when Alice was brought to the island of Koreana, Sophia had a thing for her. We find out that not only, Sophia wanted Alice to join her army that she had and be a loyal follower of hers. We also kind of find out that indirectly way that Sophia saw herself within Alice, from the standpoint when she heard the story about Alice being contained in the crazy person's house for 11 years. Sophia felt like she could relate to that because essentially she's been on the island of Koreana for her entire life, and she can relate to her. And essentially, we later find out, especially from what Tatiana says later in the episode, that Sophia has feelings and slash loves, Alice, which, okay, yeah, kind of drama related. Okay, yeah, it would only, I guess in this case, it only makes sense that Sophia, did all this stuff because she was in love with Alice. And the reason why she did all this stuff in terms of taking away Ocean and Alice's memories, one, we also find out too in this episode that Tatiana also has feelings and she's in love with she's in love with Sophia. So essentially, it's a whole jealous side plot thing with Tatiana. She saw freaking, Alice coming out of nowhere, even though they never accept outsiders. And she essentially got freaking jealous of the fact that, oh, Sophia has intrigueness and she looks like she has more, or she pays more attention to Alice than me. So it's kind of like the whole type of storyline where it's like, oh, the person who's kind of been there the longest, who's been in love with the leader the most, kind of sees jealous or gets jealous. Okay, yeah, makes total fucking sense. I think that's kind of stupid plot line, but all right, fine. I'll believe it since it's the CW. We always gotta have drama in something. But yeah, essentially we see her always training with Ocean and everything. At first, Alice did not like Ocean at all. Like, she hated his guts and stuff like that, and she wanted nothing to do. And that's when we have this talk between Alice and Ocean of the fact that, we see that Alice has essentially hatred and vengeance against her family for getting her. And she tells her backstory to Ocean. Essentially, Ocean's like, listen, why should you be mad at your family? Yeah, they may have given up finding you, but, it's because they thought all hope was lost and they thought you actually died, and he makes him he does make a good point of saying, like, listen, your family, even though they may have forgotten about you and they may have moved on from you thinking that you're dead, doesn't mean that they still didn't love you. They clearly still do, and stuff like that. They just don't know what your situation is. And essentially kind of says, like, listen, this is when he shows her the fact that he has the desert rose flower. He's planning to run away and go live out his life and and stuff like that, and use this as a way to be a worldwide cure. And he's like, I want you in that life with me and stuff like that. Essentially, that's when, they essentially two things click. They fall in love with each other. They make out and stuff like that. But in the meantime, I'm guessing before they, I guess, took it to the bedroom or something like that. Unless they were going to do it right there at the fireplace. I'm just going to say it. Tatiana oversees this, and she kind of heard in on everything. And that's when she went to be the little, I guess you could say, rat she is, and she essentially tattletaled on them. And essentially, Sophia's pissed, and essentially, Sophia's like, well, fine. If you want to do all this, then guess what? I'm going to take something that treasures most to you, and stuff like that. And essentially, Ocean's begging not to do this and stuff like that. And essentially, Sophia's like, I don't care. I trusted you like a brother, you betray me. And then she even talks to Alice. She's like, I can't believe you. I believed in you. I loved you and stuff like that. And now you're going to go behind my back after I opened up my island to you and stuff like that. And that's when she calls this person. That's when she calls in this person named Enigma. And we find out that Enigma is the person that erased their memories and stuff like that through hypnosis, essentially. And then that's how, and also too, in this whole thing, Sophia's like, when Enigma comes and hypnotizes you. You'll forget everything about Ocean. You'll essentially go to Gotham, yada yada yada, exact the vengeance you want on your family and stuff like that. So essentially, this person named Enigma essentially made Alice into the person she is today by taking away whatever humanity Ocean kind of inspired her to have left within her. So yeah, and that's kind of where that whole storyline kind of ends. So what happens is essentially, she kind of lets Tatiana free, and she's like, "Listen, I'll come back after I come into a nice, more spiffier outfit to meet with Sophia, so I can go find Kate and everything." And as she's going back, she runs into Ocean one last time. They kind of have a pretty emotional goodbye. And you can clearly see through the eyes of Alice that she probably wants to go with him and she probably wants to be with him, or she probably wants him to say, like, want to stick together or something like that. But essentially he's like, if you want to catch around and, have a drink, then I'll be at the bar and stuff like that. But other than that, toodaloos, good luck in your life, Alice. And he kind of bails. I will be honest, I kind of feel bad for Alice because now she's getting all this stuff, and it's like, now you're starting to kind of see the humanity within her starting to come back, because now she's in love with Ocean again, even though she might deny it. So yeah, speaking of ways, that's just how the Ryan storyline comes in. Ryan just walks in on her and stuff like that. And she's like, "You killed my mom." She shows who she really is. Ryan shows who she really is. And that's when Alice is like, "Who the hell are you? Like, I don't even know your mom. I don't know who the hell you are," and stuff like that. And it's funny because Alice is like, "You really are just gonna kill me over one fucking person? Okay, that's fine." So they get into a little fight, but Alice kind of sees the advantage because she sees that Ryan has the whole weakness through her shoulder because of the kryptonite poisoning, and she kind of does it. But eventually comes to a point where Ryan has her where she's got her in the neck hold where she could just snap her neck whenever she wants, but then she kind of lets her go because she sees it as a lead to get to the island of Coriana to get Sophia so she can get the Desert Rose flower so she can heal and, be cured of the kryptonite poisoning and stuff like that. So that's what next episode's going to be is, that's what it's typically going to be about. My only other thing, I guess my only issue too with the whole Sophia storyline is they haven't shown much of Sophia to understand what she's really doing. It's funny because I watched somebody's make a review. They said essentially Sophia and her little grouping is essentially a bootleg version of the League of Assassins, which honestly I kind of agree with. Like, they're essentially a bootleg League of Assassins that doesn't get a lot of screen time. And Sophia isn't as dope as Rachel Ghoul is. So yeah, but I thought it was a solid episode, so I'd give it 7/8 out of 10. So I thought it was solid. Seems like next week they're gonna go to the island of Coriana. And it seems like potentially Kate might make an appearance, might not. Now I've always said earlier that maybe Ruby Rose might just come back for one more scene in this series, but honestly, now looking at it, I feel like that bridge is burnt, and I don't think will happen. And if you watched actually Black Lightning last week, you saw at the end, spoilers if you haven't seen Black Lightning, because that was the talking point of last week's episode. At the end, if you don't know, China Anne McClain essentially, said she was not going to be on the full final season of Black Lightning. Well, now we understand why. We thought it's because she died. No, she literally got recasted. So I'm guessing what they might do is they might just totally recast Kate Kane and make her look different. Now, obviously, you're gonna ask, how can they just recast her and make her and have a new actor playing Kate Kane? She's obviously gonna look different because in Black Lightning, they made sure to, be close to identifying the fact that Jennifer looked different. I'm guessing, though, one way you can say is, Sophia did some rearrangement with Kate Kane's face and kind of made her face look different. If they're gonna go the act of recasting her, do it to where Sophia did something, messed up her face, and did some face arrangement, like some surgery on her face, and now her face is different. She's Kate, but she doesn't look like Kate. They could do that if they want to recast Kate Kane and I guess bring her back into the storyline and I guess eventually write her character off. unless they want her to essentially to be one of the few guys, I guess, be the person in the chair now, next to Luke. So unless they want to do that, that's my only guess. And that's another, I guess, pretty, effective way to make Kate Kane return without bringing Ruby Rose back and just have a new actor play it. No, we'll have to find out if they show Kate Kane. We'll see. So yeah, but other than that, I thought it was a solid episode. I honestly, to be honest, kind of enjoyed this episode. One of my favorite scenes was probably the hallucination scene with Ryan when she was going against all the people, all of Alice's group and stuff like that. That was a trippy scene. That honestly took me back to the one Spider-Man Far From Home scene when he had the whole hallucination illusion scene. So yeah, but other than that, I'm gonna get it for guys. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Until then, guys, if you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode of Batwoman, as well as hit that subscribe button to get more Batwoman content, as well as any of the other CW show, DC TV show contents, whether it's Superman and Lois, The Flash, and even the returning Supergirl that is coming I think 2 weeks from now after episode 5 of Superman and Lois. So definitely can't wait to talk about the final season of Supergirl. But other than that, guys, that's kind of it. So again, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day or night when checking out this video. Until then, guys, stay safe, wear your mask. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.